Kia ora, g'day, welcome back once again, here with another reaction, this time to a former 2-2 SAS operator who survives a direct hit by a Russian tank round. So I saw this pop up on my feed a while ago, and not long after it popped up on my feed, I'd already earmarked it to go onto my list of reactions to do. There was also a couple of other people who have been kind enough to follow my channel who sent me a message and suggested this one as well. So here we are, and let's jump in.
All right. Hey, here with my friend Sean, also teammate.
Try that one more time without adjusting in your chair.
All right. I am here with my friend Sean. All right. I'm here with my friend and teammate Sean. We just wanted to talk about kind of where he came from, a little bit of his background, leading up to some of his proper military experience, and then some of his Wild West Ukraine experience. So kind of start out one of the funnier stories, I guess, how old you were when you joined the military properly.
Damn. I'm just looking at the scar on his head. I think I read in part of this he lost part of his or had part of his skull removed as well. Holy heck. Okay, anyway, let's jump in. Sorry, that just caught me off guard.
And then what led you to joining, basically?
So I was 16 when I joined. It was something I'd always wanted to do. So yeah, 16 years and 9 months old I was. So yeah.
Man, that's awesome that you can join the UK military at 16 years of age. I think that would go a long way here in NZ and in other parts of the world with regards to potentially helping some possibly wayward youth at that age. You know, there's, with everything that's been happening in Aotearoa here in NZ with Blinken ram raids and a whole bunch of other mischief that unfortunately the young ones seem to be getting drawn into, it'd be cool to have that option. And I don't think they can deploy on operations though in the UK until they're at least 18, but they can join the army at 16. Pretty awesome.
Yep. And then at that time, clearly it was legal, which in the United States, not really a thing. But what about your job? What'd you do? Did you get to pick?
So yeah, it was one of those where you turn up to the careers office and you're asked to pick two choices. So you have a first and a second choice. My first choice was the parachute regiment. My second choice was the Royal Anglians. It was just one of those kind of things. I initially weighed.
Sorry to cut him off. I'm just taking in. He's a unit, man. This fella. Be a scary dude. Seeing somebody like that coming after you or busting down your door coming through. But I'm just looking at his left hand with his tattoo on it. It looks like he's got the same sort of pattern tattoo that J. Cal has got. So I wonder what that means, what it symbolizes, or what its meaning is. It looks the same as J. Cal's tattoo, that except J's looked a lot more darker and thicker than what this is. So maybe there's a bit more work getting done, or maybe a bit more work has been done to his since he's had that tattoo. Sorry, man, I'm just getting distracted looking at that scar's still got me. The dude is a unit himself, and then just checking out, seeing some of his tattoos.
I think it was 50 something kilos, which is approximately half of what I weigh now. But yeah, it was quite a big ask. So I was actually in, it was a failed test program. So at the time, before I joined, they used to have a thing called junior para. After I joined, they had Army Foundation College, and I was in the in-between stage. So they kind of tested out whether 16-year-olds could kind of go to depot with all the adults. Most of us got kind of broken. Yeah, it was probably not the best idea, but it was tried out for a little while.
And then during this testing program, that's when they injected you with the Wolverine stuff, and that made you so you can't be killed, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. And then from there, how long did you spend in para? Deployments from there, kind of experiences there. What do you think as a 16-year-old in the military?
So I went to depot, past depot. So I think we started off with 50 or 60 guys. We passed out with 10, went to 2 para, and kind of had a military career from there onwards. My first operational tour was in Northern Ireland. After that, so after Northern Ireland, I went to Sierra Leone, Macedonia, Afghanistan, Iraq, pretty much all of those places while I was in Para-Reg. But yeah, it was a funny time.
What I mean, were there other people that young with you for the most part? Or, I mean, when you go in there and you're doing these deployments, is everyone, 10 years older than you type of thing?
Yeah, it was a little strange. So when I kind of first turned up to depot, everybody else seemed a hell of a lot older. So there was one other guy called, well, I won't name him, but he was another guy who'd pretty much been told it's either kind of a kid's prison or you join the army. So he joined the army. He ended up in our first battalion, and had a fairly decent career. Yeah, it was, most of the kids got broken. So pretty much everybody got kind of injured in some way or another. But
what was it? What do you think made you a little different where you didn't get broken?
yeah, it was just one of those. I don't know whether it was mindset, luck, flip of the coin, or what it was, but yeah, I managed to kind of squeeze through one of the slightly larger holes in the net and ended up in 2 para. But
how long did you spend in 2 para?
14 years I spent in 2 para.
Good.
So yeah, most.
Holy heck, 14 years. That's a long time. It sounds like, so you went on a number of deployments, Northern Ireland, then I think you said Sierra Leone, Macedonia, Afghanistan, Iraq. Not surprising with the 14 years. I'm just wondering if because he didn't mention deployments. I know I've heard on other former 2-2 guys that have been interviewed that have spoken about that joined young. Colin McLaughlin, as an example, joined at 15. He had to get a special permission, but he didn't go on an operational deployment until, or the ruling was, I think, from memory of what he spoke about, and I think Mel Down spoke about this as well. You couldn't deploy on an actual operation until you were 18. I think Christian Craighead might have been the same as well. So interesting if he, because I think he said he was sort of that in-between batch, whether or not they did just let them, if they marched out of depot, which it sounds like he did, maybe they did just let them go on deployment before he was 18. But man, 14 years, that's a long time. Just also curious, so the host, I don't know the host's name, I should have had a look, but he says that this was his former teammate. So I'd be interested to hear how that works. Sounds like an American with the lad here from the UK, just in his 2 para-reg time, or para-regiment time, that he's talking about 14 years. Damn.
Of those, I think 11 of those were in the battalion sniper platoon. So yeah.
And then what led you to make the decision to try your hand at something a little bit more high speed?
So selection was one of those kind of things. Always wanted to kind of give a try. Eventually kind of squeezed through one of the even bigger holes in that net and get to that unit. But it was just one of those kind of things. It was the highest kind of form of soldiering, and that was all I really wanted to do.
Not giving yourself much credit there, just squeezing through big holes, apparently one after another. The hardest big hole in probably the entire world's military.
Yeah.
Just happened to make it through. And then, so how long did you spend in that unit? Kind of, what were your roles there? Or, even the process of selection. What, you don't have to say numbers, but percentage wise, what would you say? So percentage of people making it through.
I think we started with, I can't remember, maybe a couple of hundred guys, and that gets slimmed down to, I think I passed with 10 again. So 10 guys kind of got through that, which works out as, I'm not sure what percentage, but it's a low percent, which is kind of average. So they've ran selections where no one has passed. They've ran selections where more people have passed. It kind of goes up and down over the years. But.
And then did you get to, you came from a sniper at 2-para, right?
Yeah.
Is that something that carried over? Did you have a choice, or did you just say, hey, this is what you're doing for your role?
No, it was one of those things that I really enjoyed doing. I like the smell of wet Hessian, but that's just one of those kind of things. So the head sniper in my unit took me on the range, saw how I could shoot, and was like, okay, yeah, you've kind of got a job. So that was it.
And then you were also
This guy seems like an extremely humble man. The operator, the guy getting interviewed. Just that stands out right off the bat. It seems like an extremely humble man. Very cool to see. Not surprising, as it's one of the tenets of the unit anyway, but really cool to see it. It's so obvious in this guy.
a patrol medic as well.
Yeah.
And then, so you could be instructor. So how do you end up as a patrol medic in addition to what you were doing?
It was everybody that goes in the unit, you either go one way or the other way. So you either take demolitions or med. And I was lucky enough to kind of get med. So, yeah, that was something that I kind of fell over backwards into, really enjoyed. Yeah, it was that was all right.
Yeah, you still got both ass cheeks, so no dams for you. Very nice. And then how long did you spend there?
So I think all up in regular service, I spent 10 years with the unit, and another, I think 3 after that in reserve service. But yeah, it was a good time.
What was?
Wow, is that 14 years in the Power Ridge plus 10 years in the unit in the regiment? It's 24 years plus another 3 years in reserve. Holy heck. 27 years, man. There's a life of service right there.
What would you say was like a moment where you're like, oh fuck, this is a little bit different than 2-para? Did you have that singular moment?
Probably on the first kind of exercise that we went on. So going on my first exercise, jumped in with my unit, hit the ground, was then kind of about to get up, pack my chute, get my gear, get my rifle and everything. And the squadron sergeant major and the OC actually did that for me. And I was kind of like, okay, that's a bit different from 2-para. But I think the thing to remember with that unit is nobody feels above kind of picking up a shovel, picking up a broom, or just doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, I think that was reflected when we would do our missions together, where typically you were always the point man, no matter what we did, crossing the minefield, assaulting anything. You're like, it'll be me, and everyone's like, all right, well, like try not to fucking die while you're out there. Not supposed to be like this, but that's kind of a real life reflection, on that mentality. All right, so from there, so you spent about 10, 11 years there.
Yeah.
With that whole time. Now, is there anything, I don't know, anything there, carrying over to Ukraine, things like that, kind of the shift from what we talk about, the 20 years of GWAT type of war, and then shifting over to Ukraine. And you had mentioned in like Syria, you had seen, Russian drones, things like that. But
Yeah.
what do you think a little bit of a different ones between those
So
two?
it was incredibly different. Kind of getting out of the military. I got out into the COVID disaster. Kind of ended up working in Libya for a little while. From Libya, I think I moved over to Zambia. Zambia, I went to Nigeria. Nigeria, I went to Qatar. Qatar, I went to Costa Rica. And then after that, I ended up in Ukraine. So Ukraine originally, the idea was just put some food on the table, pay the bills. And that's all it was. So I got a job with a company that looks after a lot of our kind of ex-guys, and I managed to go and get a job looking after news crews. Realised after not very long that I don't really get along with news crews, but yeah, that was...
So I'm laughing because I love his honesty there. They are let's say they're a challenging breed of people, bunch of people to try to get along with. Yeah, it's a certain type of mindset and mentality, and yeah, some of them. I think I might have spoken about this in other reactions. Some of them are just not very nice people. To put it bluntly, they're just out for themselves. Is the easiest way that I can put it. And yeah, it's just a very different space to be, especially if you come from a unit or the units where this guy's come from, where you're very much willing to risk it all and risk your own safety and well-being for the lives and benefit of others in your team. Like his teammate just said, this guy would always be the one to put his hand up. He'll go first. Any building clearances, minefields, whatever, he was going first. Completely different mentality with regards to the media. I can't speak for all the media, but I know the large majority of the media that I worked with, they're out for themselves, and they don't seem to care who's in the way as they try to make their mark. So I don't know if that's why his reason is. Who knows? But that I would imagine that probably plays a part of it to a degree. So we'll see what he has to say anyway.
Yeah, that was a long, rocky road, but...
Yeah, I know you had mentioned previously that there are some singular situations that really kind of set you off. I want to say you were in Bucha or Irpin, one of the two, and kind of had a rough time there. Can you say kind of really what turned you, I guess?
Yeah, there was, how would you say, you kind of realise after kicking around with, how would you say, some of the journalists, you realise that they honestly don't give a crap about the people or anything that you're looking at. To them, it's literally just money. So doing that kind of day in, day out, it wore a little thin after a while.
This is the type of thing where they're kind of just making up stories to fit their narrative, right?
Yeah, so they would decide on an average day or get told what the narrative of that day was. They would go out, clip pictures, speak to people, soundbite everything, and pretty much make it fit whatever the narrative was they decided on last night, the week before. They would make it kind of fit. So that was kind of something quite unpleasant.
And then your role with...
Sorry to cut him off. It's eye-opening when you see that firsthand. It's eye-opening also when you see correspondents standing out on a street nowhere near the area where they're saying that they are. And they're saying, as an example, I'm here on the streets of Fallujah, and they're just in Baghdad and in Karada, in one of the main areas in Baghdad itself, nowhere near Fallujah, where there's a whole bunch of mayhem happening. So it's not surprising hearing this guy talk about the media and how they'll soundbite and clip things to fit the narrative that they want to have, and or the perception of risk and danger that they are apparently exposing themselves to, for the purposes of bringing the news to the world of what the world wants to hear. Yeah, disappointing, and I can see it. I can see it on them in terms of how it wore thin.
Was just kind of security, making sure they're safe type of
Yeah, it was trying to make sure no journalists exploded when they shouldn't do. But yeah.
Do you have any close calls, or was there anything really going on in the spots that you guys had went?
Yeah, I mean, we had a cruise missile kind of fly over our heads in Zaporizhia, so that did kind of. I can remember the journalist looking at it, and he was like, "That was a low-flying plane." I was like, "No, it wasn't." You can tell by the big explosion just down the street, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember we had spoke at that time. We were in the same area.
Yeah.
Of you, we were probably, I don't know how far away. We were 800 meters away from each other, not knowing it.
Yeah.
And
nuts.
I think we had 4 or 5 cruise missiles fairly close to where we were at that time too. So yeah. All right. And then from there, so you got fed up with the news guys.
Yeah.
And then kind of where'd that take you afterwards?
So afterwards, I had, how would you say, become aware of a group run by an ex-MARSOC guy that was apparently training up Ukrainians that kind of needed it. And at the same time, their dual role was to go and extract civilians out of pretty bad situations. So anywhere that was looking at getting surrounded, cut off, or overrun, they would go in and get the civilians out. So I ended up going to work for them. So yeah, that was kind of a bit of a dual role. So you would end up training, and I ended up running their extraction team for a little while. But
was this the group you were doing extractions, no weapon?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
That's
a cool move.
Yeah.
That's actually, you get a badge for that. Doing war zone extractions with no weapon.
Yeah.
Holy heck. War zone extractions, no weapons. That's that's nuts. Whew. Hopefully digs more into this part of it anyway.
Some of that was a little rough. So one particular town began with an M. The how would you say, the group's commander, we were doing an extraction from another area completely, and he was like, I'm just going to drive down to the front line with these guys. And I was looking at the local, where he was a vicar, and like an army vicar, if you like. So I was looking at this guy and the other guy, and I was like, we can't do that alone. And I goes, I'll go with you. And he was like, no, it's all right. I was like, no, you're not doing that alone. I'll come with you. We jump in the car, and it really stunk of marijuana. So I was like, can you smell weed? And he was like, yeah. I was like, all right, in for a penny then. Let's do it. So we ended up driving. Suddenly all the trees start getting blown down, and there's a load of mess all over the road. We're kind of weaving in and out of shell holes. It's like, this place has been pretty trashed. And the next thing we know, got a Ukrainian soldier pointing a rifle at us and jumps out in the middle of the road. He's like, points to this, like a little bust up underground garage. We pull off the road, get dragged out of the car, AK muzzle under the nostril. And they were like, do you realize if you'd have driven a few extra 100 meters down that road, you would have hit the Russian army? We're the front line. And I was like, shit, pull your phone out, Google yourself, and just show them who you are with all your ribbons and tapes on your uniform. And he was like, I haven't got a signal. So we had a bit of a moment there where eventually they managed to get somebody that spoke English, eventually let us go. We kind of got a bit released. We drove around a corner and up another road, and the same thing happened. We ended up getting dragged out of the car, and it was even worse. And in the end, they got their commander to come over. We told them who we were, and we ended up having quite a decent relationship with that unit. But yeah, that was kind of exciting.
What time?
Bloody holy crap, man. That's hectic. I'm going to wrap this one up here, just looking at the time. Lots to take in there. I don't know how many interviews this particular individual, I don't even know what his name is, actually. I'll know his name by the time I do the next reaction, and I'll know his name by the time I put it into the description. Hopefully, I'll check out the description of this here for this particular podcast that this guy is doing with this former 2-2 SAS operator. So my apologies for not looking at that first. I like to just jump into the videos without doing any pre-work or pre-research and just giving my take on what I see, feel, and hear in the moment. So anyway, I'll have some stuff in the description. I'll also have a link to where this interview is for this guy's podcast and his interview. But man, it's hectic. There's a lot of stuff in there. But this guy's clearly got a massive amount of humility about him. That's what comes across to me anyway when I'm listening to him speak. Potentially seems a little bit uncomfortable on the camera. Doesn't have a lot of strong eye contact with his, I presume, his mate, his teammate, his buddy, the host of this podcast. Yeah, but massive credit to him for coming out and speaking and getting into some of the stuff that he's going to speak about in here. It seems like this is only an hour 18. Seems like this should be like a 6-7 hour interview, like what Sean Ryan has done with other guests. So who knows? Maybe Sean will get this guy onto his onto the Sean Ryan show and draw more information out of him or have a chat with him. But hopefully this guy's doing awesome, and I'm looking forward to carrying on with more reactions to this particular interview. So anyway, if you made it this far, thank you very much for your time and for your support as always. I do appreciate it. And as always, the message is the same. Anybody going through any dark times, challenges, difficulties, keep tuning up, keep staying in the fight. Know that you're not alone. Know that it's okay to not be okay. Just put one foot in front of the other and take one day at a time. Be kinder to yourself too. You know, it sucks, it's lonely, it's miserable at times. But just know that the sun will shine again and that there is a light at the end of that tunnel. So just stick at it. As always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me to you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation, and gratitude for you all.